In one of the largest cities in the country lives a bird that doesn't seem to fit. Thriving amongst the skyscrapers, suburbs, and electrical plants of Chicago is a species of parrot that is not from the Midwest, the Monk Parakeet. Monk Parakeets, also known as Quaker Parrots, are originally from South America, but nowadays they also live north of the equator, surprising locals in Illinois, Florida, Texas, and New York, among other states, with their conspicuous coloration and distinctive squawks. These bright birds now have sustainable populations in several U.S. states, but the real question is, how did they get here? To understand how a bird from the tropics became established in cold weather cities, it's important to understand the monk parakeet as a species. The native range of the monk parakeet is the southern half of South America, including Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay, among other countries, where they inhabit open savannas and forests. In the United States, they typically live in urban environments occupied by humans. They are one of the few parrot species capable of withstanding cold weather. They are able to withstand the harsh North American winters for two primary reasons. The first being the wide range of items in their diet, including fruits, blossoms, seeds, and nuts. They are even willing to show up at backyard bird feeders, meaning they can always find something to munch on, even when a thick blanket of snow covers the ground and the trees are bare. The second reason is their large and intricate stick nests that provide insulation. These nests can grow to impressive sizes, sometimes even getting so big they need to be removed from power lines and transformers to prevent electrical fires. These two factors helped the monk parakeets survive in the Windy City after they first arrived. The exact way the monk parakeet first got to Chicago is a bit murky. The assumption is that they were either released from or escaped captivity sometime during the 1950s or 60s. This timeline checks out, as the exotic pet trade was booming during these decades, and an estimated thousands of monk parakeets were brought to the Midwest during this time. Some stories say that the birds escaped from the O'Hare Airport. Others state that a crate of them fell over and opened up on the freeway. While possibly the most likely explanation is that individual birds were released by various pet owners when they didn't want to care for them anymore. These birds eventually found others of their species and started forming flocks. Unfortunately, no validated first-hand reports of an inciting incident exist, so we are left to speculate. One thing people can agree on is that monk parakeets were first officially noted in Chicago in 1968 around Hyde Park. People living in the area were quite taken with them, believing they brightened up the city, especially during the dreary Chicago winters. In fact, former Chicago Mayor Harold Washington even believed that the birds brought good luck. Soon after the initial discovery of the green birds, it was also determined that they were nesting. From there, the population started to increase. In 2005, an estimated 300 monk parakeets lived in Hyde Park, along with many more in the surrounding areas. Across the country in New York, Florida, and Texas, a very similar story was playing out, with the monk parakeet taking up residence in and around major cities. Since then, the birds have expanded to other neighborhoods and suburbs around Chicago, and seem to be expanding to new sites and building new colonies each year. Now, in the Chicago area as well as many of the surrounding suburbs, the out-of-place squawks and caws of these monk parakeets can be heard amongst the city streets and buildings. Their massive nests rest on city infrastructure, as a reminder that a tropical species has indeed taken up residence in the Windy City. One big question remains: are they causing problems for native wildlife? The answer to that is largely unclear, but up to this point they don't seem to be harming any native species with their presence. A big reason for this is that they are largely concentrated in areas inhabited by humans, where many of the species they are interacting with are other birds that were originally non-native to the United States, such as starlings and house sparrows. Another reason is that since they build their own nests and have a varied diet, they aren't directly competing with native species in a detrimental way. It's also worth noting that there used to be a parrot species that did actually live native in the Midwestern United States, the now extinct Carolina parakeet. Has the monk parakeet perhaps, instead of edging out native species, simply claimed a niche that had been left vacant by the disappearance of the Carolina parakeet? More studies on the monk parakeets will need to be done to truly understand if this is true, or what impact they have on the places they now inhabit. While they can sometimes be a nuisance for electrical companies and the people that have to deal with outages caused by their nests, they are a fascinating case in which a hardy species beat the odds and made its home in a place it wasn't originally from. For birders, monk parakeets are a unique species to find, and a bird worth taking the time to watch and appreciate. If you'd like to learn more about other parrot species that now reside in the United States, check one of these videos out. And as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Badgerland Birding.